Hey everyone, welcome back. It is day 20 of 25 days of Christmas DIYs, and for this project I have made a really cute, kind of like chunky, bulky garland to share with you all, and I can't wait to show you how it's done, so let's get right into it. So I just started by taking two of these strings of beads from Dollar Tree, and I started off by untying one of the sides on one of the strands, and then untying the other strand on one of the sides as well. So that way I could tie both of these strings together to make one really long string of beads. And this is going to be my base for my garland now. Next, I took out the ornaments that I'll be using for this garland. These are all from Dollar General. So I have 3 Christmas trees, 2 snowflakes, and 2 of these like wooden blocks that have words on them. And I just started off by deciding how I wanted this little pattern to go. And since I have 3 of the trees, I figured, one of the trees is going to be the center of the garland, and then the 2 trees will be at either end of the garland as well. So I just cut that strand loose on the first tree and then tied it right into the center where I tied the 2 strands together, and then I'm going to be just tying on all of the other ornaments as well. So I'm just cutting the strands loose, and then I'm using those, the excess strands to tie onto the garland. Very, very simple and easy. It makes it so quick to do as well. So I just went around and tied on all the ornaments, but making sure that they were pretty evenly spaced out from one another. So I just made sure to find the center point of my garland where I, started with the first Christmas tree, and then I'm like kind of folding those up towards folding each of the sections in half again. So that way you're going to do your first ornament in between half of there, your second ornament at the bottom where it kind of folds, that folded part, and then so forth, and continue that pattern. And I did the pattern with a Christmas tree, snowflake, and then the block, and then we have that center Christmas tree, then a snowflake, a block, and then ended with the 3rd Christmas tree. Hopefully with the video and this visual, you guys are kind of understanding what I'm trying to explain to you. Hopefully it all makes sense. So next step was to take this little ribbon. It's like a burlappy ribbon. This is actually from Temu, or maybe it's Temu. I'm not sure. A lot of people say Temu. I've heard the commercials say Temu now, so I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. So it's from Temu, and I'm just going to start by cutting a couple of strips. I do cut 10 at first, but I only use 8 of the strips. So I cut one and I tied it onto the garland, and I kind of use that as like my base to go off of, how long I need to cut the other ones. I just want them to all be basically the same length. So once I had those strands cut, it was time to tie them onto my garland. And so you just want the garland to be basically kind of like as symmetrical as possible, or like evenly scattered throughout the entire garland. So from the first end to the first ornament, halfway in between is where I tied the first ribbon, and then the second section, between the first ornament and then the second ornament, halfway in between there is where I'm tying the second ribbon, and then I just continued the same process all throughout the entire garland until I had made it to the very end. Once I had those all tied on, I decided that I wanted to dovetail each of the little tails on the ribbons just for added, extra character. Really not necessary, but I thought it was really cute. After that, I decided I wanted to add some pine cones, so I took some of these loose pine cones. They're like in their natural form. And then I also took this garland. Both of these pine cone bunches are from Dollar Tree, but this garland, I'm really focused on the wire that's on the garland. So I want this wire to add to my new set of pine cones. So I just started unraveling the garland on the wire and stuff, and then I'm just twisting until the pine cones pop off of there. And then I'm just kind of getting it to a certain length. I want enough of the wire to be able to add to my new pine cones. So once I was happy and felt like, okay, I have a good amount of the wire, cutting that off, and then I'm just going to start adding it onto my pine cones that I will be adding to the garland. And I'm adding these pine cones the same way that they did for the Dollar Tree garland. You're just going to wrap it around the base of the pine cone and then twist it a couple of times so that way it's nice and secure and it's not going to fall off. And I left about maybe like 1.5 inches of the wire, which is way more than enough, but I wanted to have enough to be able to wrap it around the garland, and then I'll just cut off the excess later. So I just kept doing that with all of my pine cones here. Again, I'm wrapping it around the base so that way you're kind of tucking it into the layers of the pine cones so you don't really see the wire parts. And then twist, 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 and then I'm going to leave some excess and then just cut that off of there. And that's what I did for all of the rest of the pine cones as well. And I just want to mention that you guys can totally use the wired pine cone garland. I just personally didn't like that silver color. So if you can find one that's in like a raw natural state, or maybe the snow flocked ones, you guys could totally use that as well. Okay, so once I had each of those pine cones wrapped with the wire, I am just going to add them to my garland, and I'm adding them to the parts where I tied the ribbon onto. So I'm just tying those behind the ribbon. I'm going to use the ribbon to like hide the wired parts. So I wrapped it around a couple of times, and then I'm using that multi-purpose tool to cut off the excess wire, and then I'm just using the tip of that tool to kind of fold those pieces down so that way I don't like poke myself or cut myself or anything like that. You don't want it to be dangerous, you know what I mean? So just tuck everything in and hide it behind the ribbon. And I think it turns out so cute like that. And so of course I just went down the line and just added a pine cone right on top of each of the ribbon parts. And once you're done, you can kind of, tweak them and bend them to where you need them to be if they're like in a weird, wonky spot. So I like that they're like bendable and stuff. So once I was done with the pine cones, I am just cutting off the excess parts of the twine where I tied the ornaments on. I left the twine long like that because I didn't know if I was going to like the placement or whatever. So once I was happy with the placement, just cutting off the excess parts and adding a little dab of hot glue to make sure everything is really secure. And that was it. Here is how this project turned out. And oh my goodness, I love it so much. I'm sorry this lighting is so weird and like the area is kind of weird. It was really hard to get a good video of this garland. Like, first of all, it's really long, and then second of all, I got that like window where you can see all the reflections of my lights and stuff. And it was a pretty gloomy day today here in Arizona. It was actually raining earlier, so it was a weird funky day. So I did my best though, but I really love the way that this one turned out. It's so cute. I love those like big bulky ornaments on there, and then with like the little ribbon pieces and the petite little pine cones, I think it just brings everything together so nicely. And I don't know if you noticed, but you can see little bows at the ends, and then also in the center of the garland. I added those at the end, like once I was like trying to hang it up and stage it, because I was like, oh, it's definitely missing something. Kind of don't want to just see the little loose strands of the garland. And so my daughter and I made some bows to put on there, and I really like how it turned out. So let me know what you guys think of this down below. I love how long this garland is. It fits on this like window area perfectly, and I love it so much, and hopefully you guys will too. That's all I have for you guys, but stick around and check out some of the other projects that I have made for previous days. There are some goodies in there. I know I keep saying this, but there's like so many good projects in there. They're so cute. I love them. I'm totally biased because I did make them, but I still feel like they're really adorable, and I know you guys will get some inspiration from them and hopefully make some of them for yourself. Alright guys, well, don't forget to leave me some comments down below. Let me know what you think about this project or previous projects. I'd love to hear all about it, and I am just so grateful and thankful to have you guys, spend some of your day with me watching my creations and whatnot. It really does mean a lot to me, so thank you guys so much, and I will catch you guys tomorrow for day 21. Oh my goodness. Alright guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.